of us ex-Muslims were convinced to finally take the step of leaving Islam from watching AP's videos as he deconstructed the problems of Islam,
Good.
its harmful teachings,
Good.
its sexism and
Did he say
homosexuality,
us? Did he say he left because of your videos?
ongoing legacy
No,
of
people.
inflicting death and
But the
immeasurable suffering.
Good.
Many of us cheered him on as he endured threats against his life and bravely took on some of Islam's most nefarious
you.
online apologists,
Thank
including
you.
Muhammad Hijab.
All right. Hey, secular spirit, you were like 9,000 points in the hole, but you scored a point right here with this picture. But in the future, refer to him as part-time stripper Muhammad Hijab, and then you get bonus points.
It's good that this.
You got one cool point.
Hakikachu. So why do we see AP's pivot to Christianity as a betrayal? Well, let's go back a little bit.
Because you're a cult.
There's always cause for some concern of the approach AP has taken on YouTube and social media in general, an approach that, well, often lacks empathy for Muslims who are, lest we forget, the main sufferers from Islam's toxic teachings.
Did he
And
say empathy for Muslims?
I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they...
I want to say a few things here.
Is this Apostate Aladdin's little brother?
Without going too deep into it, I want to say a few things here, which is number one, he says that lots of ex-Muslims left Islam because they watched my videos, because they saw my critique, and so on.
Yep.
And I'm very happy about that. The thing is, over the years, I've always seen people say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you, and I'm now an atheist. I have seen people say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you. I'm an agnostic. I've seen others say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you. I'm a Christian now. I've always felt happy for all of these people. Okay. I've always thought, hey, I'm very, very happy to hear that. I'm touched by that. I'm honored by that. I'm very glad to hear it. And I wish you all the best. I still feel the same way. I don't, I never thought, oh, you left Islam and became a Christian. How dare you? Or you left Islam and became an atheist. What's wrong with you? No, I mean, the whole idea was of this channel to inform people about Islam and why it's horrible. I even made videos going years back, including one that was specifically about why I don't criticize other religions besides Islam. And I sat down there and I explained very, very, very much in detail why I don't consider other religions remotely as bad as Islam, and why I'm happy for anyone who converts to a different religion except Islam. So this has always been my position. I'm not sure why you guys now have a problem with me influencing people in the wrong way. Secondly, what did he say last? Let me see.
Teachings and indoctrination. I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they impact Muslims' thoughts and actions, rather than targeting Muslims themselves or verbal teachings.
Okay, he talked about empathy. I want to say this very quickly. Wait, empathy. I have in the past, over time, I have very often said that Muslims are the greatest victims of Islam. I said Muslims are the first victims of Islam. Muslims suffer from Islam more than anyone else. I have said on multiple occasions that my greatest wish for Muslims would be to leave Islam, because I've repeatedly said that I don't want to get rid of or kill or whatever to Muslims. I want to help Muslims leave Islam, which means I care about the human. Right? The human behind the Muslim identity. I want that Muslim person to leave Islam and to become something else, because leaving Islam and becoming something else will most likely make them a better person. That was my position forever and ever. I did have certain positions in the past where I said I don't care too much about mincing my words and caring about those who might receive negative backlash because of what I do. I don't care. I can't concern myself with that. And I don't care about those who advocate for violence or who hate others. I don't really care about those either. But I'm not sure what he's talking about when he says I lack empathy toward Muslims.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something real quick, because we're actually very similar in that, but from completely different angles. In that you were convincing people to leave Islam, and some of them were becoming atheists, but some of them would become Christians in one way or another. And what you're told is, shame on you. This guy left Islam but became a Christian. You're doing it wrong. Everyone has to become an atheist, or you've failed. I was doing the same thing in the sense that I was going after Islam for years. Some people would leave Islam and become atheists or agnostics, right? And people would say, but David, you're leading these people out of Islam and some of them are becoming atheists. They didn't become Christian. Guess what? I don't control what people believe. You can, if I'm pointing out criticisms of Muhammad, you might agree with me and say, I'm not going to believe in this guy, and might leave Islam. That doesn't mean you're going to agree with me that Jesus died on the cross for sins and rose from the dead. It doesn't mean that. There's no connection there. You can agree with me on one point and disagree with me on another point. And people would ask, and I'm sure you remember this from live streams a few years ago, where people would say, what's the point, David? If someone leaves Islam and becomes an atheist, what's the point? Do you think that's good? And in people's mind, they're thinking, well, at least Muslims believe in God and so on. So they're better than the atheists, like they're getting worse. And what I would say back then, and again, some of you might remember this, I would say, no, if someone leaves Islam, I'm glad, because Islam is trying to build this, thing where it takes over the entire world and controls and dominates everything. And especially in Muslim countries where they have oppressive rules and blasphemy laws, and Christians and other non-Muslim groups are oppressed and second-class citizens. If you get enough people to leave Islam, you might end up getting a better government system where people are treated equally. So I'm happy if in Muslim countries people convert to anything. Obviously, as a Christian, I want them to become Christians and so on. But if millions of people in a Muslim country leave Islam, and this actually leads to a government that respects human rights and gives people equal rights and so on, I think that's good. Even if we're a bunch of people converting to atheism or something like that, if it leads to a better environment for everyone where human rights are respected, I think that's an improvement. So I was always cheering for people who are leaving Islam, even if they're not agreeing with me afterwards. So we actually had that in common. That's probably why we connect. We kind of have a similar views on things like that. Islam is the main thing we're concerned about taking over the world. And if people are leaving it, that is good for one reason or another. But you have these guys, and then you have the Christian counterparts of these guys, which is, no, if the person leaves Islam and doesn't come out of that agreeing with me, it was all for nothing. Whereas I'm thinking it's not all for nothing. It's not all for nothing. It's good if a bunch of people leave Islam, and that this actually becomes an avalanche of apostasy, and we actually start getting better things in place in parts of the world.
Powerful.